Caitlin Huey-Burns, political reporter for Real Clear Politics and a CBSN political contributor, joins me now to talk about this week in politics. All right, so Caitlin, Ambassador Nikki Haley said that she thinks the U.S. will stay in the Iran deal, and I wonder then, what does Congress need to do in order for the president to ensure we're still part of this agreement?
Right, and that's what Congress is trying to figure out right now, particularly Republicans who have been very critical of the deal itself, but some who believe that we are so far in now that there are questions about how to, what to do next. What the president was doing by kicking this to Congress essentially is trying to have it both ways. He made a campaign promise over and over and over again to dismantle the Iran deal, to rip it up in some way or another. The administration is also making clear that while they're reevaluating, they're not withdrawing from the deal. But talking to Republicans on the Hill, they're not quite sure how to move forward, whether to impose new sanctions, which would unravel the deal in some capacity, whether to establish new kinds of measures legislatively. It's unclear. The House Foreign Affairs Committee Chairman Ed Royce said that we're so far in now that the priority here is to enforce this deal to the best possible extent. And so we've seen this with the Iran deal, with DACA, with other issues like healthcare, kicking things back to Congress and having them deal with it.
Let's talk about North Korea. Secretary Tillerson said that he'll try diplomacy with North Korea, quote, until the first bomb drops. And that comes amidst a new CBS News poll that shows most Americans are worried that we may be heading for another global conflict. Does that create pressure, you think, for the administration to try to lower the temperature and tone down some of the rhetoric on this issue?
Right. Well, when Tillerson was asked kind of about this and the way in which the president has been tweeting very publicly, trying to, or seeming to, kind of undermine Tillerson in some ways, Tillerson who has been talking about the diplomatic solutions and options on the table. Of course, that's part of his purview as Secretary of State. There have been a lot of questions about what the president wants, whether he's kind of playing his own madman strategy, whether this is a good cop, bad cop situation. I think also Tillerson and Trump have somewhat of a strained relationship, and so there are questions about that too. I think Tillerson, by going out on these shows today to talk about both the remaining focus on the diplomatic possibilities, I think speaks to the poll that you were just mentioning.
Yeah, well, another CBS News poll shows that a majority of Americans feel the wealthy would benefit most from the president's tax plan. The president, however, says that it's the middle class who benefits. So is this a messaging problem here? Is this a policy problem? What is it for the Republicans right now?
Right. Well, tax reform, of course, for Republicans is a must-pass measure, but they don't really have an exact piece of legislation yet. They have a broader outline. And Republicans that I've talked to say that they want the president to be selling this because, unlike other more traditional Republicans, he has a connection to the more populist elements of the base, the more working class kind of people who Democrats say would be affected by this. And so they're kind of hoping that he will do the selling on this. They're also talking about trying to get tax reform done by November. We've seen them push these deadlines back further and further. The reason that they're so focused, though, however, on getting this done quickly is because they don't have any legislative accomplishments to point to heading into the midterm election.
All right. Speaking of which, as we mentioned, the president took a big step towards dismantling Obamacare. He's ending those subsidies for insurance companies that are designed to help those low-income Americans. How has Capitol Hill reacted to this news? This is something that we know. We heard reaction there from Senator Collins, for instance, expressed concern about this.
And I've heard from other lawmakers similar sentiments, that the law of the land is the law of the land right now. And even if you can argue, as many Republicans have, that it is imploding, there still is this desire to enforce the law until they come up with alternatives. So you do see a lot of concern about among Republicans about the administration not making these payments. The administration is arguing that this will hurt insurance companies, but you have Democrats arguing that the president is undermining the law, is trying to sabotage the law in their view. The president and the administration are saying that they're acting this way in order to get Democrats to the table for some bipartisan fixes to the law. It's unclear, however, whether that will be productive, as you have Democrats like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi saying that this is really problematic and concerning.
All right, continue to watch it all. Caitlin Huey-Burns, thanks so much, Caitlin.
Thank you.